In the days following the battle, life aboard the orbital platform began to settle into a new rhythm. The victory over the Exitherians had been hard-won, but it left an indelible mark on everyone involved. For the first time, humanity and the Kryn truly stood as allies, their bond forged not just through words but through shared sacrifice. Jason, still clad in the ancient armor, became a symbol of that unity, a quiet reminder of what could be achieved when two species worked together toward a common goal. The station buzzed with activity as engineers and scientists collaborated with the Kryn to integrate their advanced technologies. New defenses were installed, powered by energy sources far beyond anything humans had previously understood. Medical facilities were upgraded, saving lives that would have otherwise been lost. Even small innovations, like improved food synthesizers and more efficient oxygen recyclers, began to make daily life easier for everyone aboard. Slowly but surely, trust replaced fear, and cooperation replaced suspicion. Rachel, who had once mocked Jason at every turn, found herself struggling to reconcile her feelings. She couldn't deny the changes she'd witnessed, not just in Jason, but in the entire crew. People who had once dismissed him now looked to him with respect, even admiration. One evening, as they crossed paths in the station's cafeteria, she hesitated before speaking. "You didn't screw up," she admitted grudgingly, avoiding his gaze. "I guess I was wrong about you." Jason smiled faintly, surprising himself with how little bitterness he felt. "It's okay," he said simply. "We all make mistakes." Her apology, though awkward, marked a turning point. Rachel wasn't the only one who had changed. The battle had forced many to confront their prejudices and assumptions. Humanity's survival depended not on division, but on understanding, and that lesson was beginning to take root. As weeks turned into months, Jason continued to unlock the secrets of the armor. Each discovery brought new insights, not just about the Kryn's past, but about the vast potential of the galaxy itself. The knowledge within the armor wasn't meant for conquest or destruction. It was a gift, designed to elevate those who wielded it. Under Vale's guidance, Jason learned to harness its power responsibly, ensuring it would never fall into the wrong hands. Ethan, too, found his place in this new era of exploration. His leadership during the battle had earned him recognition, and he now served as a liaison between human pilots and Kryn navigators. Together, they charted courses to unexplored regions of space, seeking out resources and allies to strengthen their growing alliance. "We're just getting started," Ethan often said, his enthusiasm infectious. "Who knows what we'll find next?" For Jason, the journey was far from over. Though he had proven himself as a leader and protector, he remained humble, aware that the armor's power came with great responsibility. He spent hours meditating, connecting with its ancient essence, and reflecting on the legacy he was helping to build. It wasn't about glory or personal achievement. It was about leaving the galaxy better than he had found it. One evening, as he gazed out at the stars from the observation deck, Vale joined him. "You have done well," the ambassador said softly. "Your actions have given hope to both our peoples." Jason nodded, his eyes fixed on the endless expanse of space. "This is just the beginning," he replied. "There's so much more we can do, together." And as the station orbited silently around Proxima Centauri b, humanity and the Kryn took their first steps toward a brighter future. Through courage, determination, and an unshakable belief in the power of unity, they had transformed fear into hope and strangers into partners. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side, united by a shared vision of peace and progress among the stars. The arrival of the Exitherian fleet sent shockwaves through the orbital platform. Their ships were massive, jagged structures bristling with weapons and glowing with an ominous red light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The sight of them filled the observation deck with dread as technicians scrambled to assess their numbers and intentions. Captain Hayes barked orders, her voice cutting through the chaos as she prepared the station's defenses. "They're hailing us," one of the communication officers announced, his voice trembling slightly. Put it on screen, Hayes ordered, her expression grim. A holographic image flickered to life, revealing a figure vastly different from the Kryn. The Exitherian leader was heavily armored, its face obscured by a menacing helmet lined with sharp edges. Its voice was cold and mechanical, devoid of emotion. "You have something that belongs to us," it growled. "The artifact, the armor. Surrender it now, or we will take it by force." Jason stood frozen at the back of the room, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He knew what the Exitherians wanted, and he also knew they wouldn't stop until they had it, or destroyed everything in their path to get it. Rachel, standing nearby, shot him a glare filled with accusation. "This is your fault," she hissed under her breath. "If you hadn't meddled with that thing, none of this would be happening." Before Jason could respond, Vale appeared beside him, its luminous eyes fixed on the screen. "They lie," Vale said firmly. "The armor does not belong to them. It was created to protect, not to conquer. They seek only to exploit its power for destruction." Hayes turned to Jason, her tone urgent. "What do we do? Can the armor help us fight them?" Jason hesitated. He had unlocked some of its secrets, but using them in battle was uncharted territory. Still, he nodded. "I can try," he said, determination replacing his earlier fear. "But I'll need everyone's support." The decision galvanized the crew. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to integrate Kryn technology into the station's systems, while pilots readied fighter ships for combat. Ethan volunteered to lead a squadron, despite having no prior experience in space battles. "We're all in this together," he told Jason before heading to the hangar. "Do whatever you need to do. We've got your back." As preparations continued, Jason retreated to a quiet corner of the station to focus on the armor. Closing his eyes, he reached out to it mentally, searching for the knowledge buried within. Flashes of ancient battles flooded his mind, strategies, tactics, and defensive maneuvers designed to counter overwhelming odds. Pain coursed through his body as the armor pushed him to his limits, but he endured, knowing failure wasn't an option. When the first wave of Exitherian fighters launched toward the station, Jason stepped onto the battlefield. Clad in the gleaming armor, he moved with speed and precision far beyond human capability. Energy shields flared around him as he intercepted enemy fire, protecting nearby ships and crew members. Each strike he delivered was devastating, disabling multiple foes with a single blow. From the command center, Rachel watched in stunned silence as Jason turned the tide of the battle. For the first time, she saw him not as the awkward engineer she had ridiculed, but as someone extraordinary, a protector willing to risk everything for others. Despite their initial advantage, the Exitherians began to falter. Their leader issued desperate commands, ordering retreats and regrouping efforts, but it was too late. Humanity and the Kryn fought side by side, united against a common threat. As the last of the enemy ships flooded into the void, cheers erupted across the station. Jason returned to the command center, exhausted but triumphant. Vale approached him, bowing its head in gratitude. "You have proven yourself worthy," it said softly. "Not just to us, but to all who seek peace." Though the immediate danger had passed, Jason knew the war was far from over. But for now, humanity had earned a fragile alliance and a chance to build a brighter future. With the Tribunal's decision behind him, Jason threw himself into building a relationship with the Kryn. The alien ambassador, who introduced itself as Vale, became a frequent visitor to the orbital platform. Through the armor's translation abilities, Jason acted as a bridge between the two species, facilitating discussions that ranged from cultural exchanges to scientific collaboration. At first, progress was slow. Many humans remained suspicious of the Kryn, and even those willing to listen struggled to understand their advanced technology and unfamiliar customs. Rachel, still bitter about the Tribunal's ruling, did everything she could to undermine Jason's efforts. She spread rumors among the crew, questioned the Kryn's motives in private conversations, and openly mocked Jason whenever he passed by. "You really think you're making a difference?" She sneered one day as they crossed paths in the station's corridor. All you're doing is handing over our secrets to strangers. Jason didn't rise to her bait. He had learned to tune out her negativity, focusing instead on the bigger picture. Every conversation with Vale brought new insights about the Kryn's ancient empire, their lost technologies, and the looming threats they had faced before their decline. One such threat weighed heavily on Jason's mind: a rogue faction known as the Exetherians, a militaristic group that sought to dominate the galaxy through conquest. According to Vale, the Exetherians had once been allies of the Kryn, but had turned against them when greed and ambition consumed their leaders. They are relentless, Vale explained during one meeting. Their hunger for power knows no bounds. If they learn of your existence, and ours, they will not hesitate to strike. The warning sent a chill through the room. Captain Hayes, who had initially viewed the Kryn with caution, now saw the potential danger clearly. If what you're saying is true, then we need to prepare, she said. But how can we fight an enemy we know nothing about? Vale hesitated before responding. There is a way. Within the armor lies knowledge, not just of our people, but of weapons and defenses far beyond anything you possess. But accessing it requires trust. Are you willing to take that step? The question hung in the air, heavy with implications. Jason glanced at the others in the room: scientists, engineers, and military personnel, all waiting for someone to make the call. Finally, he nodded. I'll do it, he said firmly. If this knowledge can protect us, then I have to try. Under Vale's guidance, Jason began to unlock the armor's deeper secrets. It wasn't easy. Each revelation came with a flood of sensations, painful flashes of memory, overwhelming emotions, and bursts of energy that left him physically drained. But with every session, he grew stronger, both mentally and physically. The armor seemed to adapt to him, enhancing his reflexes and sharpening his senses until he felt like a completely different person. Ethan noticed the changes first. You're not the same guy who stepped onto that ship weeks ago, he remarked one evening as they reviewed data together. You've changed, for the better, I think. Jason smiled faintly. It's not just me. It's the armor. It's teaching me things I never thought possible. As word of Jason's progress spread, attitudes toward the Kryn began to shift. Even some of Rachel's staunchest supporters started to soften their stance, impressed by the tangible benefits of cooperation. Advanced materials developed using Kryn blueprints allowed engineers to reinforce the station's hull, while medical breakthroughs saved lives that would otherwise have been lost. Slowly but surely, humanity and the Kryn were finding common ground. But not everyone was ready to embrace the alliance. Rumors surfaced of a shadowy group within the station's ranks, a faction determined to sabotage the partnership and seize control of the armor for themselves. Jason couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease. Someone somewhere was watching him closely. And then, without warning, the station's alarms blared once more. A fleet of ships appeared on the horizon, not Kryn vessels, but something far more menacing. The Exetherians had arrived. Word of Jason's encounter with the Kryn spread quickly through the orbital platform. By the time he returned to his quarters, rumors were already swirling. Some people whispered that he had gone mad, claiming he was talking to aliens in a language no one else understood. Others speculated that the armor had somehow brainwashed him, turning him into a pawn for an unknown agenda. Rachel, ever eager to fuel the gossip, made sure her version of events reached as many ears as possible. He thinks he's some kind of chosen hero, she told anyone who would listen, rolling her eyes dramatically. But let's be real, Jason's just playing pretend. That armor doesn't make him special, it makes him dangerous. Her words found fertile ground among the station's crew, many of whom were already uneasy about the sudden appearance of the Kryn. Fear and distrust began to take root, spreading faster than any official statement could counteract. Even Captain Hayes struggled to maintain order as whispers of betrayal and conspiracy filled the corridors. The situation escalated when command summoned Jason to face a formal tribunal. The hearing was held in the main conference room, where a panel of senior officers and civilian leaders sat ready to decide his fate. Rachel testified first, painting a picture of Jason as reckless and self-serving. She described how he had ignored protocol, endangered the mission, and consorted with aliens without regard for humanity's safety. Her words dripped with venom, designed not just to discredit him, but to humiliate him in front of everyone. Ethan followed her testimony, offering a more balanced perspective. He admitted that Jason's actions had been unorthodox, but argued that they had also revealed something extraordinary. "I don't fully understand what's happening here," Ethan said, his voice steady. "But I saw things on that ship, and I saw how the armor changed Jason. It wasn't random or meaningless. There's something bigger going on, and we owe it to ourselves to find out what it is." His defense earned mixed reactions. Some nodded thoughtfully, while others dismissed his words as naive. When it was Jason's turn to speak, he stood calmly before the tribunal, the armor still gleaming faintly around him. He didn't raise his voice or try to defend himself against Rachel's accusations. Instead, he focused on explaining what he had learned from the Kryn, their history, their struggles, and their desire for peace. "They're not our enemies," Jason said firmly. "They're survivors, like us. Their ancestors left the armor behind as a gift, for someone who could carry their legacy forward. I don't know why it chose me, but I do know this. If we turn our backs on them now, we'll miss an opportunity to learn and grow. Together, we can achieve things neither of us could do alone." His words resonated with a few members of the tribunal, but skepticism remained strong. Just as the panel seemed poised to rule against him, the Kryn ambassador appeared unexpectedly, requesting permission to address the court. Through the armor's translation abilities, Jason relayed the ambassador's message. "We seek only cooperation, not conquest," the ambassador said, its tone measured and sincere. "Our people are weak, but we offer knowledge and technology that could benefit yours. We ask only for your trust and the return of what is ours." The room fell silent as the weight of the ambassador's words sank in. For the first time, some began to see the potential in Jason's discovery, not as a threat, but as a chance to build bridges between species. Slowly, opinions began to shift. When the tribunal reconvened to deliver its verdict, Captain Hayes announced that Jason would be granted full autonomy to work with the Kryn under strict supervision. The decision sparked outrage among those who still distrusted the aliens, but it marked a turning point. Rachel stormed out of the room, her credibility shattered by the tide of change she couldn't stop. As Jason left the conference room, he felt a mix of relief and determination. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he knew he had taken the first step toward something greater, a future where humanity and the Kryn might stand side by side. Jason stood in the docking bay of the orbital platform, his heart pounding as he prepared to meet the Kryn. The alien ship loomed outside the viewport, its sleek design and glowing patterns casting an otherworldly light into the room. Around him, technicians worked quickly to set up a secure communication link, while Captain Laura Hayes and her senior officers observed from a nearby control booth. Rachel lingered at the edge of the room, her arms crossed and her expression unreadable, while Ethan stayed close to Jason, offering quiet support. "Are you sure about this?" Ethan asked under his breath, glancing nervously at the massive alien vessel. "What if they're not here to talk?" "They are," Jason replied confidently, though his hands trembled slightly. The armor seemed to hum softly, as if reassuring him. They've been waiting for someone to find the armor. They want to communicate. They need to. Before Ethan could respond, the communication link activated, and a holographic image of the Kryn ambassador appeared in the center of the room. The figure was tall and slender, with luminous eyes that seemed to pierce through everyone present. Its voice resonated clearly, translated instantly by the armor into Jason's mind. "We are the Kryn," the ambassador began, its tone calm but firm. "The artifact you carry is sacred to our people. It holds the essence of our ancestors and must be returned." Jason stepped forward, drawing the attention of both the humans and the Kryn. He spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully. "I didn't know what I was finding when I discovered the armor," he said. "But now I understand its importance. To you, and maybe to all of us. Before I give it back, I need to know why it was left behind. What does it mean? Why did your ancestors choose me?" The Kryn ambassador tilted its head, studying Jason with an intensity that made the room feel smaller. "You wear the armor, which means you have been deemed worthy," it replied. "Our ancestors built it as a bridge, a way to guide those who seek knowledge and unity. But time has passed, and our people have grown weak. We hoped one day someone would find the armor and help us reclaim our legacy." Rachel snorted audibly, earning a sharp glare from Captain Hayes. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "They're just trying to trick us." Jason ignored her, focusing instead on the ambassador. "If you're telling the truth, then we can work together," he said. "But I won't hand over the armor until I'm sure your intentions are honest." The Kryn ambassador hesitated, then nodded. "Very well. We will prove ourselves to you. Allow us to share our history, our struggles, and you will see that we are no threat." With that, the hologram shifted, projecting images of the Kryn's ancient empire. Jason watched in awe as scenes unfolded before him. Sprawling cities floating among the stars, advanced technologies that defied human understanding, and battles fought against shadowy foes. The Kryn had once ruled vast regions of space, but their power had waned over millennia. Now they were survivors, clinging to fragments of their former greatness. As the presentation ended, the room fell silent. Even Rachel seemed shaken, her usual sarcasm momentarily silenced. Captain Hayes leaned forward, addressing the ambassador directly. "If what you say is true, then perhaps there is a way for us to help each other. But trust must be earned, not given freely." The ambassador bowed its head. "We agree. Let this be the beginning of a new alliance, one built on mutual respect and shared goals." Jason felt a surge of hope. For the first time, he truly believed that humanity and the Kryn could work together. But as he glanced around the room, he saw doubt lingering in many faces. Convincing others wouldn't be easy, especially those like Rachel, who already distrusted anything unfamiliar. Still, Jason knew he had taken the first step towards something greater. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them, not just for himself, but for the future of both species. As the Aurora docked with the orbital platform, Jason felt a mix of anticipation and dread. He knew the armor and the mysterious device he carried would raise questions he wasn't sure he could answer. Rachel, on the other hand, seemed eager to distance herself from the entire situation. "Just so we're clear," she said as they prepared to disembark, "I'm not taking any blame for this mess. If anyone asks, it was all your idea." Jason didn't argue. He had more pressing concerns than Rachel's attempts to save face. Ethan, however, lingered near the airlock, his expression thoughtful. "You know they're not going to believe you, right?" he said quietly. "People don't like things they can't explain." "I know," Jason replied, meeting Ethan's gaze. "But I have to try. This isn't just about me. It's bigger than that." Ethan nodded slowly, though skepticism still lingered in his eyes. "Good luck," he said before stepping off the ship. The team reported directly to Captain Laura Hayes, who wasted no time calling an emergency briefing. The conference room buzzed with tension as Jason, Rachel, and Ethan recounted their experience aboard the ancient ship. Rachel described the mission with dismissive sarcasm, downplaying the significance of the armor and painting Jason as overly eager and naive. Ethan, true to his nature, stuck to the facts, offering measured observations about the ship's advanced technology and the strange energy readings. When it was Jason's turn to speak, he hesitated. All eyes were on him, some curious, others skeptical. Finally, he stepped forward, holding up the glowing device in one hand. "This isn't just a relic," he began, his voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. "It's a key to something far greater than we can imagine. The armor, it's part of a legacy left behind by whoever built that ship. They wanted someone to find it, to carry on what they started. The room erupted into murmurs. Some laughed nervously, while others exchanged doubtful glances. Captain Hayes leaned back in her chair, her arms crossed. "And you expect us to believe that you've been chosen by this armor?" she asked, her tone heavy with skepticism. Before Jason could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed, and the hum of distant engines filled the air. Everyone rushed to the observation deck, where a massive alien vessel had appeared on the horizon. It dwarfed the orbital platform, its sleek design radiating power and purpose. Unlike the ancient ship they'd explored, this one was clearly active, its surface shimmering with pulsating lights. "Who are they?" someone whispered, breaking the stunned silence. "They're hailing us," announced one of the technicians, his voice trembling slightly. Captain Hayes moved quickly, taking charge of the situation. "Put them on screen," she ordered. Moments later, the main display flickered to life, revealing a group of humanoid figures with elongated features and luminous eyes. Their voices came through the speakers, speaking in a language none of the humans understood. Everyone turned to Jason instinctively. He stood frozen for a moment, then realized the armor was translating the message directly into his mind. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. "They say they're the Kryn," he explained, his voice calm but firm. "They're descendants of the civilization that built the ship and the armor." The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on Jason. Even Rachel looked shocked, her usual mockery replaced by wide-eyed disbelief. "What do they want?" Captain Hayes demanded. Jason listened carefully, the translation flowing seamlessly into his thoughts. "They want the armor back," he said finally. "They claim it belongs to their ancestors." Rachel scoffed, breaking the tension. "Of course they do, probably planning to blow us up once they get it." Jason ignored her, focusing instead on the weight of the decision before him. The Kryn weren't threatening. They were insistent, almost desperate. And as much as he felt connected to the armor, he couldn't ignore the possibility that returning it might open the door to something greater. "We need to talk to them," Jason said firmly. "Not as enemies, but as equals. Maybe this is our chance to learn from them, to build something together." Captain Hayes studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Do it," she said. "But be careful, Jason. Humanity's future might depend on what happens next." As Jason prepared to meet the Kryn, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the edge of something monumental. Whatever happened next, there was no turning back. Back aboard the Aurora *, the atmosphere was tense and uncertain. Ethan sat at the controls, his hands gripping the steering yoke as he prepared to launch the ship away from the ancient vessel. Rachel paced nervously behind him, glancing occasionally at Jason, who stood silently in the corner of the cabin. The armor he wore still shimmered faintly, its glowing runes casting soft light across the cramped space. "What are you even doing?" Rachel finally snapped, breaking the silence. "You look ridiculous. That thing isn't going to make you a superhero, you know." Jason didn't respond immediately. He was too busy trying to process everything the armor had shown him. The visions, the memories, the sense of purpose that now filled his mind. Slowly, he turned to face her, his expression calm but resolute. "It's not about being a hero," he said quietly. "This armor, it's part of something bigger, something important." Rachel rolled her eyes. "Oh sure, because glowing space outfits always mean something important. Spare me the drama, Jason." Ethan interrupted before things could escalate further. "Enough," he said firmly, his voice cutting through the tension. "We don't have time for this. Whatever that armor is, it woke up the ship we just left. We need to figure out what's happening and decide our next move." As if on cue, the Aurora shuddered violently, nearly knocking Rachel off her feet. Outside the viewport, the ancient ship began to shift. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, and the glowing patterns along its hull grew brighter, pulsing with an intense energy. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. Ethan," Rachel said, her voice tinged with panic. "Maybe we should go. Like, right now." "I'm working on it," Ethan replied, his fingers flying over the console as he initiated the launch sequence. But the Aurora wasn't responding properly. Alarms blared throughout the cabin, warning lights flashing red. "Something's interfering with the engines," Ethan muttered, frustration creeping into his voice. "It's like the ship doesn't want us to leave." Jason stepped forward, placing a hand on the wall of the cabin. To everyone's surprise, the armor reacted instantly. The glowing runes flared brightly, and the vibrations shaking the Aurora began to subside. Within moments, the ship stabilized, and the control panel lit up with green indicators. "What did you do?" Ethan asked, staring at Jason in disbelief. I don't know," Jason admitted. "The armor, it felt connected to the ship somehow, like it calmed it down." Rachel stared at him, her usual mockery replaced by wide-eyed confusion. "Okay, fine. You've got some weird alien mojo going on. Can we please get out of here now?" Ethan didn't waste another second. With the engines back online, he guided the Aurora away from the ancient vessel. As they put distance between themselves and the mysterious ship, the team fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts. For Ethan, it was awe. He couldn't deny that something extraordinary had just happened. For Rachel, it was unease. She didn't trust the situation or the strange changes in Jason. And for Jason, it was determination. He knew the armor had chosen him for a reason, and he intended to find out why. Hours passed as they traveled back toward the orbital platform. Along the way, Jason examined the small device he'd taken from the pedestal beneath the armor. It fit perfectly into his palm, humming softly as though alive. When he touched it, flashes of information flooded his mind. Coordinates, star charts, and fragments of knowledge about advanced technologies. One thing became clear: the device was a key, designed to unlock something far greater than the ship they'd just left. "So, genius," Rachel said eventually, breaking the quiet. "What's the plan? Are you just going to waltz back to the station wearing your shiny new outfit and declare yourself king of the universe?" Jason shook his head. "I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do yet, but I can feel it. The armor, the device. They're leading me somewhere. I think there's more to discover." Ethan glanced at him from the pilot's seat. "Do you think whoever built that ship is still out there, watching us?" The question hung heavy in the air. None of them had an answer, but the possibility sent a chill down their spines. They were no longer dealing with ordinary mysteries or mundane missions. Whatever they'd stumbled upon had the potential to change everything, not just for them, but for humanity itself. As the Aurora approached the orbital platform, Jason made a decision. He wouldn't let fear or doubt stop him. The armor had awakened something within him, and he was ready to embrace it. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them head-on. Little did any of them realize their lives were about to collide with forces far beyond their understanding. The journey had only just begun. What happened to you?" Ethan asked, his voice tinged with both awe and apprehension. Even Rachel seemed momentarily speechless, her usual mockery replaced by genuine shock. The armor now fit Jason perfectly, its glowing runes pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. It wasn't bulky or cumbersome. Instead, it moved with him as naturally as a second skin. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked cautiously, taking a step forward. "You look different." "I'm fine," Jason replied, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. I think this armor belongs to whoever built this ship. They left it here for a reason." Rachel snorted, regaining some of her composure. "Sure, because leaving magical space armor lying around makes total sense. Did they leave a note too? 'Dear future guy, here's your cool outfit.'" Jason ignored her sarcasm. He could feel the armor communicating with him, not in words, but in impressions and ideas. It wanted him to understand its purpose, to carry on the legacy of its creators. But before he could say anything, the chamber began to tremble. The glowing symbols on the walls flared brighter, and a low hum filled the air. Guys," Ethan said, glancing nervously at the ceiling. "I don't think this place likes us anymore." The pedestal where the armor had rested started to sink into the floor, revealing the hidden compartment beneath it. Inside was a small device, roughly the size of a human hand, glowing faintly with the same energy as the armor. Jason picked it up without hesitation, feeling an instant connection between it and the suit he wore. "We need to get out of here," Ethan urged, already backing toward the exit. Rachel hesitated for a moment, torn between her skepticism and the growing realization that something extraordinary was happening. Finally, she turned and followed the others, muttering under her breath about bad decisions and wasted time. As they hurried back through the corridors of the ancient ship, Jason couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, and the glowing patterns shifted subtly as they passed. Whatever the ship was, it wasn't dead. It was alive, and it had awakened. By the time they reached the Aurora asterisk, all three of them were breathing heavily, adrenaline coursing through their veins. As Ethan sealed the airlock behind them, he glanced at Jason, still clad in the mysterious armor. "So," he said slowly, "what exactly do we do now?" Jason didn't have an answer, not yet, but one thing was certain. Their lives would never be the same. As Jason stood before the suit of armor, his mind raced with questions. What was it? Who had made it? And why did it feel so alive? The warmth that had surged through him moments earlier lingered, as if the armor were whispering secrets only he could hear. He reached out again, this time more deliberately, and touched the glowing runes etched into its surface. To his surprise, the symbols responded, shifting and rearranging themselves in intricate patterns. Rachel watched from a distance, her arms crossed, and her expression one of disbelief. "Oh, great," she said sarcastically. "Now you're some kind of chosen one, huh? Should we bow or something?" Her words were meant to mock, but there was an edge of unease in her voice. She didn't like how quiet Ethan had become, or how intently he was studying the armor. Ethan stepped closer, his scanner beeping softly as it analyzed the strange material. "This isn't just metal," he murmured, his tone serious for the first time since they'd boarded the ship. I don't know what it is. The readings are off the charts. It's like nothing we've ever encountered before." Jason barely heard them. His focus was entirely on the armor. Without thinking, he began to remove his gloves, his fingers trembling slightly as he prepared to touch it again. Rachel rolled her eyes. "You're really going to put that thing on? Are you insane? It could be dangerous." But Jason couldn't explain why he felt drawn to it. It wasn't fear or even curiosity driving him. It was something deeper, almost instinctual. Slowly, carefully, he lifted the armor piece by piece, fitting it over his body. The moment the helmet sealed itself around his head, everything changed. A flood of images and sensations overwhelmed him. He saw flashes of battles fought among the stars, towering cities that floated in orbit around distant suns, and beings of incredible power-wielding technologies far beyond human understanding. He heard voices speaking in languages he didn't recognize, yet somehow understood perfectly. These weren't random visions. They were memories, fragments of a civilization long gone. When the surge subsided, Jason blinked rapidly, trying to process what he'd experienced. He felt different, not physically, but mentally. His thoughts were clearer, sharper, as though the armor had unlocked parts of his mind he hadn't known existed. He looked at Rachel and Ethan, who were staring at him with wide eyes. Jason's persistence eventually paid off, though not in the way he had hoped. When he presented his findings to the station's commanding officer, Captain Laura Hayes, she listened with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. While she didn't share Jason's enthusiasm, she couldn't ignore the potential significance of the discovery. After all, Humanity's survival depended on pushing boundaries and exploring the unknown. With a reluctant sigh, she approved a small reconnaissance mission to investigate the mysterious ship. The team assigned to the mission consisted of 3 people: Jason, Rachel Monroe, and Ethan Grant. Rachel was included because she had loudly insisted on coming along, claiming she wanted to keep an eye on Jason. Ethan, a seasoned pilot known for his calm demeanor and quick thinking, was chosen to fly the Aurora *, the lightly armed scout ship designated for the task. Neither Rachel nor Ethan believed the mission would amount to anything meaningful, but they went along anyway, Rachel out of spite, and Ethan because it was his job. As the Aurora launched from the orbital platform, Jason felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had spent days preparing for this moment, studying every detail about the ancient ship and running simulations to anticipate possible scenarios. Rachel, on the other hand, made no effort to hide her disdain. She lounged in her seat, arms crossed, occasionally throwing sarcastic remarks at Jason. "You really think we're going to find treasure or something?" she asked with a smirk. "Maybe a map to the galaxy's biggest secret." Ethan ignored her jabs, focusing instead on navigating the ship through the vast emptiness of space. The journey took several hours, during which the tension between Jason and Rachel only grew thicker. Ethan tried to keep the peace by making casual conversation, but his attempts fell flat. By the time they reached their destination, the atmosphere aboard the Aurora was icy and uncomfortable. The ancient ship loomed before them, its silhouette jagged and irregular against the endless blackness of space. It looked like nothing any of them had ever seen. Its surface was covered in strange patterns that shimmered faintly, almost as if they were alive. As they drew closer, Ethan whistled softly. "Well, this doesn't look like junk," he muttered, his voice tinged with awe. Jason leaned forward in his seat, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's incredible," he whispered. "I've never seen anything like it." Rachel, however, wasn't impressed. "Looks like someone dropped a giant piece of scrap metal out here," she said dryly. "Let's just get this over with." Once they docked with the ancient vessel, the team suited up and prepared to board. The airlock opened with a hiss, revealing a dark corridor that stretched into the heart of the ship. Dust coated every surface, and the walls were lined with glowing symbols that pulsed softly, casting eerie shadows on the floor. Jason hesitated for a moment, feeling a strange sense of reverence. This place felt alive, somehow. "Come on, hero," Rachel said, rolling her eyes. "Lead the way." Her tone dripped with mockery, but Jason ignored her. He stepped forward cautiously, his boots crunching against the layer of dust. Ethan followed close behind, scanning the area with a handheld device to ensure there were no immediate dangers. Rachel brought up the rear, muttering under her breath about wasting time. As they moved deeper into the ship, they began to notice signs of advanced technology. Panels embedded in the walls emitted faint light, and intricate designs covered nearly every surface. Jason marveled at the craftsmanship, while Rachel continued to scoff. "If this is supposed to be impressive, I'm not seeing it," she said, kicking at a pile of debris. Eventually, they reached what appeared to be a central chamber. In the middle of the room stood a pedestal, and atop it rested a suit of armor unlike anything they'd ever seen. Its surface was etched with glowing runes, and it seemed to hum with energy. Jason approached it slowly, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached out to touch it, and as his fingers brushed against the cold metal, a surge of warmth spread through his body. Rachel laughed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Congratulations, Jason. You found your super suit. What are you going to do now? Save the galaxy?" She clearly didn't believe anything extraordinary was happening, but Ethan noticed something different in Jason's expression, a mixture of awe and determination that hadn't been there before. Whatever this armor was, it had changed something within him. And as the team stood in the dimly lit chamber, none of them realized just how much their lives were about to change. In the year 2247, humanity had spread across the stars. colonizing planets, and building massive orbital stations that floated like jewels in the vast darkness of space. One such station orbited Proxima Centauri b, a cold but resource-rich planet on the edge of human expansion. The station was home to scientists, engineers, and explorers, all working together to push the boundaries of what mankind could achieve. Among them was Jason Wells, a quiet and unassuming man who often went unnoticed by his peers. Jason worked as an engineer, spending most of his days fixing equipment or analyzing data from deep space probes. He wasn't particularly charismatic, nor did he have the confidence that many of his colleagues seemed to possess naturally. His coworkers, especially Rachel Monroe and Nathan Cole, rarely missed an opportunity to make fun of him. They teased him about his awkward way of speaking, his clumsy movements, and his tendency to suggest ideas during meetings that they dismissed as impractical or overly ambitious. To them, Jason was just another cog in the machine, someone whose contributions didn't matter much. Despite their ridicule, Jason never let it get to him completely. Deep down, he believed he had something valuable to offer. He spent hours poring over reports and scans, searching for anything unusual that might catch his eye. It wasn't just about proving himself to others. It was about finding meaning in his work, about making a difference no matter how small. And one day, while reviewing data from a long-range probe sent to explore the outer edges of the system, Jason found something that made his heart race. The probe had detected a faint energy signature coming from a distant object drifting through the void. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than debris, perhaps the remains of an old satellite or some other piece of forgotten technology. But as Jason zoomed in on the readings, he realized this was no ordinary object. Its shape suggested it was a ship, ancient and battered, its surface covered in strange markings that glowed faintly even after centuries, or maybe millennia, floating in silence. Whatever it was, it didn't match any known designs from human or alien civilizations. Excited by the discovery, Jason brought the findings to his team during their next meeting. He explained what he had found, pointing out the unique features of the ship and speculating about its origins. Instead of being impressed, Rachel and Nathan burst into laughter. "Seriously," Rachel said, rolling her eyes. "You think this is important? It's probably just another hunk of junk." Nathan chimed in, smirking. "Yeah, Jason, maybe it's a spaceship from your imagination." Their mockery stung, but Jason refused to back down. He argued that the ship could hold secrets, technologies or knowledge that might benefit humanity. Still, his words fell on deaf ears. No one took him seriously, not even his supervisor, who dismissed the idea with a wave of her hand. Frustrated but undeterred, Jason decided to act on his own. If no one else would listen, then he would prove them wrong. Over the next few days, Jason gathered as much information as he could about the mysterious ship. He cross-referenced the energy signature with databases, studied the patterns on its surface, and calculated its trajectory. The more he learned, the more convinced he became that this was no ordinary discovery. This ship wasn't just old, it was ancient, predating anything humanity had ever encountered. And if he could reach it, if he could uncover its secrets, then maybe, just maybe, he could finally earn the respect he deserved. Little did Jason know, his decision to pursue the mystery of the lost ship would set off a chain of events that would change not only his life, but the fate of humanity itself. For now, though, he was simply a man driven by curiosity and determination, standing alone against the skepticism of those around him.